Welcome to the special coverage on Nile TV International. We are going to be with you for the next 30 minutes or so, and we're going to be updating in regards of the latest updates in the Iran war. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Friday that the Strait of Hormuz is now fully open to commercial vessels as the 10-day truce in Lebanon appeared to hold. And the truce offered a pause in fighting between Israel and the Hezbollah group and could clear one major obstacle to a deal between Iran and the United States and Israel to end weeks of devastating war. Also, U.S. President Donald Trump said Iran announced that the strait is now fully open and ready for passage. The foreign minister said that the passage for all commercial vessels through the strait is declared completely open in line with the ceasefire in Lebanon. He said it would stay open for the remaining period of the ceasefire. However, it was not immediately clear what that meant for the U.S. blockade of the strait. In regards to the oil prices, the oil prices plunged more than 10% on Friday as well after Iran said that the Strait of Hormuz is now completely open. Minutes after the announcement, the Brent North Sea crude was down 9.9% at $89.56 a barrel. Also, the West Texas Intermediate fell 10.2% at $81.88 a barrel. The strategic waterway through which 1/5 of the world's crude oil normally flows has been disrupted by the Iran war, and now it's fully open. In regards to this, in all these updates, we're going to be speaking to the Dr. Sarah Khater, the Professor of Information. She's going to give us more insights on the Iranian decision to open the Strait of Hormuz. Good evening to you, Dr. Sarah.
Good evening.
Thank you for being with us on Nile TV International. Ma'am, we'd like to know the impacts and the strategic factors that may have influenced the Iranian decision on opening the Strait of Hormuz.
Actually, I think today we are seeing the beginning of serious negotiations and a real ceasefire that's being implemented on ground. I think the declaration of opening the Strait of Hormuz again will have many repercussions. We are talking about further decrease in the oil prices, talking about a normal navigation again, and the freedom of navigation in and out. I think the efforts by many countries, one of them and the main efforts were done by Egypt in order to, what can we say, to make, to bridge the gap and to bridge the viewpoints and the perspectives of both the Iranian and the American side in order to reach a real and true ceasefire.
Yes. Dr. Sarah, it's not immediately clear what meant for the U.S. Blockade of the strait. Now, are there going to be U.S.
Till now, the American president has announced that the American forces will remain in the region in order to make sure that everything according to the plan or according to the that in a few days we may see the freedom of navigation without having to see the military scene that we have seen a few months.
Yes, and in regards to the oil prices, I'm sure you have known that the oil prices have plunged to 10%. It's great news for the stock markets and everyone that had been affected by the energy, fuel, and all the prices hiking up. What can we be anticipating now during the ceasefire and the opening of the Strait of Hormuz in regards to the oil prices?
I think that the anticipated energy crisis, we are not going to see a crisis in energy worldwide as we were anticipating. As you just mentioned, the plunge in oil prices because of the declaration of a ceasefire has its strong influence on stopping the global-wide energy crisis.
Yes.
Yes, that's from the economic side. Yes.
And in regards to the fact that currently the ceasefire is holding in Lebanon, and accordingly then Iran have opened the Strait of Hormuz. Could this ceasefire and this opening of the strait a temporary deal, or would it actually be long?
Well, we're hoping to see a long-lasting ceasefire on the Lebanon and on the Iranian side as well. Actually, this may become the start or the beginning of a total ceasefire in the entire region, including Gaza as well, and a total calmness, because let's face it, the region has been going through a lot for the past few years. And right now, this ceasefire, we are hoping that it can have a long-lasting effect. But it really requires the total and the global-wide efforts in order to maintain this ceasefire. Dr.
Sarah, as a professor of information, and you're very well informed in regards of the media and industries are going to this, especially now that the United States, they say that they're most. They said also that Iran agreed to deliver its enriched uranium. How is that going to work on the long run? Is it actually true what the Trump administration is putting out there, or is it just a media kind of camouflage?
Well, I'm following global media for the past few hours, and from a preliminary perspective, I think the global media is welcoming this because the whole world really is in urgent need to see a ceasefire in the region and in the Strait of Hormuz specifically. But in my answer to your question, I think we need more time to see if this is a true ceasefire or it's just a media camouflage. Because I think the repercussions to the ceasefire and how different sides maintain their parts of the agreement will actually judge whether we will see a long-lasting peace or the launch of new and updated attacks again.
I'm sure you have been following up with the war since the very beginning, and how the entire world was actually confused about the objectives of the United States and Donald Trump specifically, and his objectives of the war remained unclear for a very long time, and actually they remain still unclear, and he states, however, that most of his objectives are actually completed. So can we actually see any of these objectives on the main ground that are clear now, that we can say, oh, Donald Trump actually fulfilled his objectives?
Well, I think at the beginning, Donald Trump, he actually said that the war, the main reason for the war was actually that Iran should not possess enriched uranium. And then all of a sudden it became a cause for the Strait and who's controlling the strait and who's controlling the ships in it. So actually his objectives were not very clear at the beginning.
Yes.
But right now I think he maintained that his objectives were achieved. So let's hope that this will put an end to the war.
Well, let's hope for sure it puts an end to the war. Dr. Sarah Khater, the Professor of Information, thank you very much for being with us on Nile TV International. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of this phone call. However, we still have more for you. Stay tuned on Nile TV.